Welcome to the Confident Host podcast with me, Kay Gibbs. If you're a holiday let host or co-host looking for more bookings, more efficiencies, and to get ahead, then you are in the right place. Each episode brings you practical tips, real stories, and expert advice. On today's podcast, I'm talking with Sam, the owner of North Yorkshire Holiday Lets and a co-host of many properties as well as a host of her own. Like me, Sam is a co-host for lots of other people, loves what she does, and is here to share with us what works well, what she loves, and why co-hosting might be something for you to think about, whether you're looking to be one or looking to get yourself one. So let's get started. Today, I'm welcoming Sam. Sam is a long-term client of mine, and for today's purposes, she is also a co-host, just like me, co-hosting lots of properties as well as having her own. So Sam, you are going to spill the tea on all things co-hosting, and I can't wait to get into it. But before we do, tell us what you're drinking.
Hi, Kay. Thanks for inviting me on. Of course, it's got to be a Yorkshire tea.
Of course it has. I've got my usual chamomile. And so, Sam, before we dive in, thanks so much for being here. You have been, I was going to say you volunteered. That would be a lie. Our press ganged you into joining
I'll
us.
look behind my back.
Yeah, because lots of people are really interested in co-hosting and what it entails, and both looking at it because they might like to be a co-host or they might like to get a co-host. And I knew that you and I could have a really good conversation about that and our different experiences and how it works for us. So tell us, first of all, a bit about your setup, your business and your history, how it kind of ended up happening.
Well, how it all started is quite bizarre, really. It was never something I wanted to do. It was never something that I thought about doing. And during lockdown, as we were coming out of the lockdown and we could go for walks, we'd met our friends, we were having a walk along the beach, and we were looking at buying a second property as a rental property, nothing to do with holiday lets. And we were talking to our friends about it, and they said, have you ever thought about buying a static caravan? Because they have static caravans at holiday rentals. And it was something we'd never ever thought about. And the more we talked to them on the walk, the more we thought, actually, this sounds quite good. You know, I think I'll give this a go. So that was on the Saturday, and we rang the caravan park on the Monday, and by the Tuesday we bought ourselves a static caravan.
You do not mess around.
So that's how much thought went into our holiday let business. And then it was a bit like, oh, crikey, what have we done? What do we know about this? So massive steep learning curve. And we had probably about a month, I think it was something like April the 13th that we came, people were allowed to travel again and holiday lets could open. It was around then, 2021. So we had a month of going back and forth to set it up. And it was difficult because all the shops were closed. So we were having to buy things online, get them to deliver to our home address, and then go over. It was an hour away to the caravan, and take everything over, set it up, come back. And we did that several times until we were good to go. On the final journey home, my husband was driving, and I thought, well, I'll have a go at setting up a Facebook page. That's the first thing I need to do. By the time I'd got home, I'd got 2 bookings. And I think people were just so excited that the world was opening up again. People could start to travel, and they were so excited that it just absolutely flew. So I was so fortunate that I got into it at a really, really busy time, and we just hit the ground running, never looked back. And I realised that I was pretty good at doing this. Guests, I had good rapport with the guests. We were getting lots of bookings. The Facebook page was gaining traction. About a year later, that a friend of mine was he's a property developer, and he was looking at buying a property in a holiday let. And he asked if we wanted to go in with him. It was a grade 2 listed cottage that was almost derelict. I never do things by halves.
No.
So jumped into that one with both feet, and we spent 2 years renovating it, and that opened in May 24. And again, I'd run a Facebook page during the renovation. So even before we'd finished, we had bookings coming, direct bookings. And I kind of was thinking, I want to grow this business, but I didn't have any more money to be investing into properties. So that's when I thought, I want to be a co-host. I kind of put it out there a little bit and nothing happened. And then just one day, I think it's in November 2024, I saw a post on one of the Facebook groups that I'm in looking for a property manager for a property in Teesside, which is my area. And we chatted a bit, and then they sent me through photos of the properties, and I was just absolutely blown away because I've followed the refurb of this property, and it's a converted church. It just blew me away. And it was one of those moments where you're like, oh my goodness, I can't can't believe this is happening to me. Met with the owners, got on really well. And in the December, I started running that. So I did a couple of months with them. He then recommended me to a colleague of his that was a property developer with 8 properties. And before I knew it, I took those on. And then a couple of weeks later, somebody got in touch with me and my name had been put forward to them, and I took on the property that I'm sitting at now doing this recording, which is Sandy Nook in Mask, my hometown.
Sounds brilliant. Something that strikes me, Sam, about you, and we've known each other quite a long time now, is every time we communicate about holiday letting in any way or co-hosting or any of it, you and I feel the same, are excited. You are
Oh,
always
yeah.
excited and you love the process of, setting them up. You love how beautiful they are. You love capturing that special photo or that little video, or you've been telling me about using TikTok lately. You enjoy it and embrace it. And I think that's something that a really great co-host brings, is that focus and energy and enthusiasm for doing it and loving the properties. That just, that comes
Absolutely
across
do.
loads. Yeah.
And whether it's my own property or whether it's somebody else's property, it doesn't make any difference. I'm passionate about all of the properties that I look after. In fact, this week I've just kind of overstepped the mark because I always say I treat them as if they're my own. So yesterday I met with some builders at one of the properties. We were going through what the problem was. He gave me the options and I chose the option I felt that we should take. And then I was like, actually, it's not really my choice. It's not really my decision, that one. I should be going to the owner. But before I knew it, I'd made the choice. So I just messaged the owner and said, might have overstepped the mark, but this is what I've agreed to do. Obviously, if you want to do different, that's up to you. So yeah, sometimes I forget that they're not mine.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The owner that I work with at the moment, we have a limit, the amount of money I'm not allowed to do without asking him. But even when I say, I think we should get this for this much, he's never said no. That's the thing. It's so about trust, isn't it? That relationship trust is just absolutely integral to success as a co-host, I think. Yeah. Hello, folks. It's just me coming on to interrupt me and tell you about Confident Host Circle. It's my subscription group, a membership for hosts just like you who are looking to take what can be something of a lonely sport and bring community to it. Inside, you'll find community, training, inspiration and support to feel confident in your hosting and in your business. Each month we enjoy a theme where there will be training, both things that are quick fixes and also bigger, more strategic ways of building efficiencies into your business and just getting more bookings. Confident Host Circle is all inside a private Facebook group where there's a really lovely community of like-minded hosts, as well as the training and the chance to chat and ask questions and so on. We have a monthly live where we either meet up together or you guys get the chance to ask me anything. At its heart, it's about consistency, community and confidence. And I would love to see you there. You can find out more at www.kaygibbs.com/confident host. So tell us your numbers. How many are you up to now and whereabouts are they, Sam?
Right, so I've got my original, which is Pepperpot Lodge in Knaresborough. That was my first one. Then I've got Seascape Cottage in Mask by the Sea, which is where I live. So that's in North Yorkshire on the coast. I've got Moorsham View, which was the third property I took on. That's the converted church in Moorsham in the North Yorkshire Moors. Then I've got 6 apartments in Redcar, which is just the next town along from me. 2 cottages in Gisborough, which is a market town nearby. They're actually about to sell, so that'll be 2. I'll be 2 down within the next week or so probably. And then I've got Sandy Nook, which is the property that I'm in today. So that's got a lovely sea view, fantastic location. That's also Masked by the Sea.
If you're not watching, folks, you can actually see the sea behind Sam in the picture, so worth a little zoom in.
I did have to move my chair because I thought it's the best place to sit. I need that view in the background. So yeah, I think that puts me at 13, but there's 2 about to drop off. But I'm also working with a guy from London who I've known for years, and he's renovating a property that is inherited in a nearby village. So I'm working quite closely with them on the renovation, and we're hoping that this year that'll see that one opening up as well.
Brilliant. And have you got aspirations as to how many you might max out at?
No, I like to keep it personal, and I think at the moment, because I am still working part-time, but my husband is due to finish work at the end of this year and he's going to come on board. But I'm all about the personal touch.
Yeah.
I just think if you grow too big, that personal touch goes.
Yeah, that's key. I think, folks listening, if I were to give you one piece of advice that's relating to co-host, the difference between us and, say, an agent, whether we're talking about Sykes or Travel Chapter, or even some of the smaller ones that have still got 200-300 properties, the difference with a co-host is you are likely going to pay more, but you are going to get a much more personal service, which means more profit. probably, and also more reliability, more trust, and more investment. You can expect people to be doing things like making those decisions for you. Whereas with an agent, it's literally just about marketing your property and selling it. So yeah, I think I'm the same. I don't think I'd ever want to go above kind of 8, 10, something like that for me, because I'm obviously running my coaching business as well. But similarly, my other half is also going part-time now and is going to come on board with what we're doing. So I'm really, really pleased about that. That's great. Sam, what a story. I mean, what a story. So mine is nowhere near as exciting as yours. So I'll tell it more speedily.
But you're,
Because
you're juggling family as well, and
I
you've got the
am.
other side to your business.
This
My
is true.
family's up and, they're grown up and they've fled the nest. And
Yeah. My whole journey with holiday letting started because I was skint and we had a 3-bed semi and we wanted to make some money out of it. And similarly to you with the car journey back, one night was on my phone in bed going, how do we make money? And thought, oh, let's give this Airbnb a go. Listed and had a booking in the morning and said to Fraser, oh, sorry, I've got some Airbnb. We moved here. We've got a place attached to our home that we kind of chose this for that. And then when I was on maternity leave, similarly to you, I just got approached. People said, oh, you enjoy this. It's going really well. Would you like to take on our place? And I picked up when you were talking, something that is often true amongst owners who look for co-hosts is that they've kind of fallen into it. Either they've got a place and they have, for whatever reason, not been able to sell or don't want to sell, or you said they've inherited it. I've had that too. Or I had a situation where a family were moving, the wife's job was going to take them away, and they didn't want to sell it because it was going to be their home again in the future, but they weren't going to be local to be able to manage it themselves. So they wanted a co-host for that. It kind of often tends to be people who found themselves in this situation but don't have the capacity or desire to run it, but do want it to be personal, isn't it? And, do want that personal touch.
that
That's
personal
mine.
touch really, really matters.
Yeah.
And, I work with quite a few property investors. And I think, post-lockdown, it was kind of, if you renovate a property, stick it on Airbnb and watch the money come in. And it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, I'd say that, definitely. I've been approached recently, say the last year, the approaches have tended to be more, what I'm doing isn't working, help me.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's where we can come in and optimize what people are doing and take the workload away from them, but
Absolutely.
also make sure they're making more money. That's key. Yeah. Okay. So I was approached by people like you. Word of mouth has been the main thing that's grown it. And I've met people on Facebook. The owner that I currently work with, I met on Facebook actually through my coaching business. And by chance, Sam, on the day that we were due to record today, I had a phone call from somebody who is nearby, and through word of mouth, actually through my gardener there. So that's how it spreads, isn't it?
Yeah,
Usually,
absolutely.
once you get a reputation, then people know that they'll have their house in safe hands and, their investment in safe hands, because the finances matter too. Okay, so what are the benefits to an owner of a co-host? As I just said, broadly speaking, they will usually make more money, although we're going to charge them a commission. I'm assuming that's how you work, Sam. Do you work on commission?
I do work on commission, yes.
Yeah, me too. And my plan is always and this is what I would advise, if you're thinking of starting up as a co-host, this is what you want to kind of approach the situation with, is I want my owners to make just as much money as they are already, if not more, and my fees will be the additional profit that they're making, so that they're actually not taking any less from the business, just I am taking some from the business. Yeah, you work the same. So that's my aim. I can't promise that, and if someone approaches me and I think actually the margins aren't there, that's where I will turn them down, either because the property's small or because I think they're already doing really well. I'm trying to think if that's ever happened, actually. I don't know if that's ever happened, that they've been with an agent or something, and I think that. So there's the whole financial side. So they're basically going to make at least as much money, is our plan, but with very little workload. So let's think about those benefits, Sam. So how does it work for you? What do your owners still have to do, and what do they absolutely not have to do?
Really, there's nothing that they need to do. They need to be there. There'll be times when I have to go to them, because like you said, there's a limit on the decisions that we can make. All my owners trust me that any decisions I'll make will be in their best interest. But sometimes I'll be thinking, well, actually that's quite a big decision, so I need to run it past them. So it's just me at the end of the phone asking them questions. They can say they're totally hands off. I deal with the cleaning team, the gardeners, window cleaners, laundry, managing all the calendars, manage the Airbnb listings, I manage the Facebook page, I answer all the inquiries. Yeah, so they really, if an owner wants to be involved, then I'm more than happy, to work with them and keep them. And every owner has a different level of what they expect from me in terms of, admin work. So some owners want a spreadsheet regularly regularly with all the takings. Others just now and again will ask me for that. Yeah, I work different ways in it, just because that's what I can do. I can do everything bespoke to what they need.
Yeah, bespoke is exactly the word, isn't it? So I'm similar. I didn't know that about us. Basically, the owner pays the bills, and I have it very clearly set in my terms of engagement that they are responsible for the legality. So I will advise them on where to find fire regulations and who to recruit to do a fire risk assessment and so on, but I'm not responsible for that being enacted.
Yeah.
They can say to me, please make sure some turn locks are fitted and get this guy to come in and do that, but the legal responsibility is theirs, and the same with all the bills and things. I don't even call it a contract because I feel like you have to have a certain amount of gentleman or gentlewoman, in fact, acknowledgement that this is a working relationship, and it's a critical working relationship, and it's reliant on trust. It really is reliant on trust. So in my terms of engagement, I go through what's my responsibility, what's their responsibility, and I have a kind of template one set up. But like you, it can be bespoke. There can be changes there.
You actually shared that with me.
Oh, did I?
You did.
I forgot that.
Yeah, back in the when I was taking on Moves and View, and we had a conversation. I was like, I just don't know what to do now. So you sent me through your terms of engagement, which I then edited to meet my needs.
Yeah.
So my conditions are very similar to yours.
I'm sure they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. I've ended up doing some emergency cleaning quite a lot in quite a few places.
Yeah, that does happen.
But one place I did actually have it set up so that I was also doing the cleaning and the laundry, and that was fine. But it just became untenable when, with growth, my house was just like a laundry the whole time, and it just wasn't really functional. So I wouldn't engage in that now. But I wanted to raise that we are one type of co-host, but you absolutely can get co-hosts who will do the whole thing for you. So we will manage the cleaning team, manage the gardening team, manage the laundry, but you will find people who will do all of it for you. And if your place is smaller and therefore a lower value per night, that can often be a good option, because then there's more money in each changeover for that person and for their responsibility. Whereas for us, obviously, there needs to be, covering the bills, covering the mortgage for the owner, our commission taken out of it, and enough to pay the laundry and the cleaning team. So if you're smaller, it's worth that. It doesn't mean you can't take a co-host. It means maybe taking one where you get that combination of someone who's going to actually do all the stuff.
I do know a couple of people who do that. They clean it, they do the laundry, they manage everything, and that works absolutely fine. Like you say, for smaller properties. For some of my properties, like Moves and View sleeps 12 people. So the amount of laundry that comes out of that, and I'm very much like you as well in the eco-friendly side of things. And one of my friends does the laundry for me. She's had to retire from work due to ill health, so it's just a little bit of pocket money for her. She loves it, and she's got all the Epsom salts out. She uses essential oils for fragrance, sodium percarbonate, and I dropped it all off yesterday, and I stayed and had a couple with her, and she's like, well, you just sit down, and she's checking it all for stains, putting into steep what needs steeping, and we wouldn't get that if we used a big laundry company.
No, I'm hoping that my fabulous cleaner who does laundry for me in Swanage, I'm hoping she will watch this, because she's the same. She is so invested in that laundry. You just couldn't get that with anyone else. And that's actually a benefit I hadn't thought of a co-host, is even if your co-host isn't the one doing the laundry, they'll be personally overseeing it. That's the thing. It's those personal relationships, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we are the owners, directors of our businesses, whereas when you're looking at one of those big agents, you've got levels of people to get through. So you've got someone who knows what they're doing with listing on Airbnb. You've got someone who does the social media. You've got someone who sends it to the laundry. But there's a disconnect, isn't there? The scale is just not going to have that same personal touch. And I suppose the message I would get across to you, if you're considering a co-host and you're thinking, oh, but I can't afford it, is because of that personal touch, you will make more money out of it. You can charge a higher rate. You will optimize things. You'll know, Sam, that I've recently been dabbling with the idea of a website for my properties. And in the end, the owner and I of one of the places that I'm running at the minute decided against it. And he said to me, and I was really grateful for this, he said, look, I think what we've learned here is one of your unique selling points for what you bring to this partnership is twiddling about with prices endlessly. Because what we were finding was a blockage was getting the pricing just right and tweaking all the different days and stuff on the website. And so any co-host, that's my particular USP, but any co-host will be bringing this level of attention to detail and something specific that you just will not get that investment in a bigger company. It's just not possible. Just not possible, is it? Okay, so the benefits are not having to worry about anything and making more money. Sounds like a win, doesn't it?
I actually asked a couple of my owners
Yeah, go
what
on.
they've put totally hands-off experience. They're not having to deal with guests, and it releases them time to do their own businesses and releases them from a lot of stress. They also said having my experience, my knowledge of the industry, which they don't personally have, my attention to detail, because I think, again, like you, that's very much, my little doggy welcome hampers that we have, nice welcome hampers for the guests, all those little things that I see to that they don't have to worry about. And
Yeah.
that do make a big difference to the guest.
Yeah, they do.
Everybody commented about how I treat the property as if it's my own. So, I was very proud that my owners actually felt that. Everything is handled professionally, which gives a better guest experience, which leads to better reviews and, ultimately more bookings, which is what we're all after. Because at the end of the day, the more bookings we get, the better it is for me as well as it is for the owners.
I think that's the key. And that's why I do a commission model, because then everyone wins with each booking. And also the longer and the more lucrative the booking, the more I get and the more the owner gets too. So it works really well. That's also made me think that one of the benefits, I didn't actually think to ask my current owner, I should have. But one of the things I think he would say is he also uses it as a holiday home, and he loves being able to just arrive and knowing that everything's going to be fine, that it's going to be clean, that it's going to be all put together. So it's actually a nicer place for him to go and stay as well because of that. But yeah, I mean, it's the expertise and it's having specialism. We can't in life all be specialists at everything. So it's bringing in a specialist to optimize what you're doing for you. If you think, but I can't afford that, then you go to me as a coach and you optimize what you're doing yourself. But if you've got the gap and you've got other things to be doing, you employ a co-host, maybe one who's worked with me like Sam, who then optimizes it with you and for you. And that's how it makes it more successful. So that's the benefits to the owner. What makes a successful co-hosting setup as far as you're concerned?
Openness and honesty. I'm the first to put my hands up, like I mentioned earlier. Oops, I might have overstepped the mark there with making a decision. So I think openness and honesty, and it's having a co-host that is passionate about what they do, having somebody that's really got your back, wants the best for your business, and just good communication.
Yeah. Oh, communication is so key. I think with mine now, because I've had a few of them, if you've done a few different properties, and something I've learned is right from the beginning, talk about where you want to communicate. Now, WhatsApp works brilliantly for me, but that's not for everyone. But if I've got someone who wants to do formal emails back and forth, that's not been a good combination for me. So yeah, communication, so important. Trust. If there isn't trust, then the benefit of the co-host, which, as we said, was the specialism and the being able to be hands off, are negated because the owner is kind of checking stuff and wanting an input on things. And so you're losing those benefits. For me, the properties where the co-hosting has been most successful and therefore made the most profit and been the easiest to do have been where the relationship between me and the owner is top notch. That's actually been more important than the property itself, I would say.
Yeah, it's got to be the right owner. I've got to click with the owner and the owner's got to click with me, and you've got to be comfortable with that person, because otherwise, you can't trust them.
Yeah, and that trust has to work both ways, because we as co-hosts are investing a heck of a lot of headspace, time, effort into it. You have to know that there's an intent for it to go on for some time, for example. So you're not kind of getting it all set up and then they're going to go, oh, actually, I'm going to sell it in 6 months. So yeah, it's trust both ways, isn't it? I think it's really important. So I did get some things wrong at the start, and I did have some experiences that, they weren't terrible, but I learned from them. And isn't that, life's about? I entered into an engagement with people where they just automatically couldn't trust. That just the trust wasn't there, and that was always really difficult. And it meant that everything was kind of having to be checked and checked again, and it was inefficient, and that was difficult. So one of the things I've been burned with before is not properly accounting for the amount of effort there is at the beginning and that kind of setting up and things. So I know you do an upfront setup fee, whatever the situation, don't you? Yeah.
So when I take on a new property, I'll sit down and we'll have a good long chat with the owners to find out exactly what it is that they need. I'm happy to do anything. So when I started at Sandy Nook, it was an empty shell. The property needed furnishing, it needed all the bedding, the cutlery, crockery, everything. I gave the owners a list, and then they're given an option like, you can just go away now and leave me to do it all, or I will advise you along the way, or you can just go ahead and do it all yourself, whichever you prefer. And based on what option they choose would be sort of the fee that I would be starting off initially with. But also included in that is, do you want a website? Do you want a Facebook page setting up? Do you want, Airbnb listing, a Sykes listing? Do you want all these listings putting on? Do you want professional photos taking? So I took some properties on that had been managed by, or mismanaged, should I say, maybe, by a previous company. So they had the website, they had the Airbnb listings, the booking.com listings, they had the professional photos taken, but they hadn't got that engagement right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it all went horribly wrong. And that's where I came in to sort of pick up the pieces. And we had guests turning up that we didn't know about because they didn't pass on any future bookings to us.
Oh no.
So we literally would have guests turning up and we didn't know that they'd booked. So yeah, the first couple of months with those properties was hard work. I'd literally just sit down on a Friday night and I'd get a phone call because we changed the safe codes.
Yeah.
And put a phone number in the window. And then we were like, okay, I'd have to go up. And I was so fortunate because every single guest was pleasant. Because basically, I had to explain the situation and say, you haven't booked with us. I need to talk you through an Airbnb chargeback or a credit card chargeback, bank chargeback, and then you can pay me and you can enjoy your stay.
Yeah.
And that was a really difficult couple of months. And
you've just said that was fortune. That I know, Sam, that'll be because you managed the situation exceptionally well. And that's very much part of the co-hosting role, isn't it? Negotiating, appeasing guests, working with what they need. You know, that's key. That sounds like a nightmare. And I definitely think if you are a co-host or you're looking for a co-host, something to consider deeply is the transition. Because if you've got guests already booked and they're not booked under that particular regime, that can be really difficult. So sort of give yourself a run in. So you've got a kind of order of play and you know what's going to happen, because that I think can be really difficult. My mistake really has been undercharging in the past, not picking up on any sort of red flag with the mutual trust when, you know, just like in any relationship, it really matters and you need to pick that up. And then also ending up, this is just an early one, a mistake I made at the beginning, where I was spending my own money and then claiming back for it, but it became really complicated, both administratively and tax-wise. So what I've now got with one of my owners, which works brilliantly, is we have a business account that it's a joint account, and that is fantastic because then I can just buy more loo roll or, you know, lovely bathroom products or whatever it is, and I can just do that, and he doesn't even need to think about it. What do you do finance-wise? How does it work with that?
So it is quite complicated. I have a business account, so when I took Moors and View on, I opened up a business account and that's where all my income from the co-hosting goes into. So when I was buying any stock for Moors and View, it would come out of that account. I would add it to the owner's invoice.
Yeah, that's what I did before.
And claim it back. But now I've got multiple properties, it gets a little bit more complicated. I did try, I thought, well, if I can open another business account, and Monzo actually declined me, said that my business model didn't suit their.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because it's complicated. That's something else I think, again, if you are thinking of becoming a co-host, to think about is how that will work, how you'll make sure that you'll be able to buy those things, isn't it? Because
I think the way forward is prepaid credit cards. And that's what I'm planning on suggesting to my owners, that we have a prepaid credit card that they just top up. And then whenever I'm buying for their business, I use those cards.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that worked really similarly to what we've got now. And what we've got just works so well. I've also had a situation before where when you're taking direct bookings, and for me, we do that through bank transfer, I couldn't always see if the deposit had been paid. So then I'd be messaging the owner saying, has it gone in? And then by the time you've done that, you're causing them the faff that you're supposed to be taking away from them. So the joint bank account does work really well for that.
That is a good, that would be ideal. I don't know if that's a route that we go down, but how I manage it is, so for each of the owners, we communicate via WhatsApp, but then we have a separate chat, which we just call invoices. So it would be Moors and View invoices, Sandy Nook invoices. And I post in there a copy of the invoice. And the owner just puts paid underneath it and the amount that's been received. So we've got all the financial information in one single WhatsApp chat.
Yeah, makes sense.
Rather than, certainly with Moors and View, I've become really pally with the owners. And
we'll have a lot of back and forth.
We chat about everything.
Yeah.
I need to go back and find something that's important. I'm literally scrolling back
and searching.
Here's my birthday pictures and
I think that what I would take from this, if I were listening now, and I'm looking forward to everybody's feedback on this, but what I would take is there are lots of little bits and bobs that you just need to give a lot of consideration to make it work. There's no wrong answer, there's no right answer. Well, there are some wrong answers, I suppose, but It's about just thinking through the logistics of how it's going to work for you, because it is quite a complicated relationship. So talking of that then, if people are thinking about co-hosting, or indeed they're thinking about finding a co-host for their business, how to find them. That's something that I know people are going to want to know. So I'll go first, Sam. So for me, Facebook has been the place that most people have approached me from. I run a group on Facebook called UK Airbnb and Holiday Let Hosts, and anyone listening is welcome to go there and post looking for a co-host, and you might even get Sam or me stumble upon your post too, depending on your area. But I've also found Facebook local groups have been a place that people have approached me as well. So whether that's our kind of localized holiday letting group, or also just the standard, here we call it news and views, the standard Facebook group for the local town or the local village, that's been somewhere as well. Have you used Facebook a fair bit for that, Sam?
So the first co-hosting job role that I got was a complete stranger who just posted on one of the hospitality Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And then after that, mine have all been word of mouth. So it's been an owner has recommended me to their friend.
Yeah, so I've also had people approach through word of mouth, and actually through owners, but also through cleaning teams. And the one today was through a gardener. So when people are associated with property, they'll sort of share your details, won't they, sometimes?
Yeah.
So then I also use the sort of setup on Airbnb, which came in, I don't know, couple of years ago now, where it's kind of like a date matching service thing, where there'll be people who co-host and owners on there, and you can go on Airbnb and look for a co-host without even actually
I
having
didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, you can go on there and you don't even have to have started a listing or anything. You can just be going on there to have a look. So I get a lot of inquiries through that, as in, I don't know, 3 or 4 a week. But
wow.
90% of them, maybe more than that, I reply saying, go and have a read of my step 1 guide, which if you're listening and you're new here, is my free guide to all of the kind of legislative things that you need to know about, what you can expect in terms of pricing, how things might work, and so on. And it's free on my website, www.kaygibbs.com/freebie, and you'll find it there. And I send people there and I mention the fire regs, and most people don't come back. And that works as a really good filter. So if you are a co-host and you're looking to filter people, send them my step 1 guide, and that will sort them out. Because there is a lot to do, that a lot of people who are just a bit excited and think it might be a good idea, and I'll only work with people who are compliant, obviously. So but I have met some people through that I have worked with. So they'll come with similar reasons, but that's just where they found me. So that's worked quite well too. So we talked about the benefit to the owner, and we talked about our setups and so on, but I don't feel like we've really said why we do this job and why we enjoy it and the benefits to us, Sam. So what do you love about it and why do you do it?
I absolutely love everything, apart from the phone calls at 9:45 on Christmas Eve night with no hot
Yeah,
water.
that's the danger money bit, isn't it?
Yeah. And that was that they were too hot, so they switched the boiler off and then wondered why they had no hot water.
Classic.
But I mean, then guests, they apologised profusely. I think 99% of our guests have been amazing, and I've loved meeting them. Some of them have become friends. There's people that I've hosted time and time again, and so I love that. I love what I do. I love setting up properties. It's like setting up your doll's house, isn't it?
For sure.
I just love it. And I get to do all of this without having to use my own money
Yeah.
and my own investment.
I basically enjoy hosting. I enjoy getting to know people. I enjoy marketing properties, all of that. And I think it's worth mentioning the economies of scale in terms of my time as well. Because if I'm popping on Airbnb every day to do something for this property and this property, then it doesn't make that much difference to me to also do it for this property. But that owner is getting that benefit. And the same with Facebook posting and all the rest, and using that expertise becomes easier the more properties you're kind of doing at one time. For me as well, because there is an element in the pay of danger money, because there are those times where you find yourself driving at 3 a.m. to go and, deal with a leak or something like that. But broadly speaking, it's reasonably paid, apart from those moments. And for me with young children, I'm not in a position in life where I'm going to be able to jet off and go for 3 weeks in the Bahamas and that kind of thing and have that freedom. So while I'm not able to have that freedom, I may as well use that lack of freedom to be a way that I have an income as well. And so by always being available for my children, I can also just always be available for guests.
And you talk about jetting off. So obviously I'm at a different stage in my life. I'm getting to the point where I want to be able to jet off.
Yeah.
And I want to have that freedom to travel. We've got a camper van. We love traveling. And I kind of see that this is something I can still work whilst being anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's magic that, isn't it? Yeah.
And you're doing it because you can stay at home. I'm doing it because I can go anywhere and still work.
Yeah. I tell you what then, we're nearly at the end now, Sam, but I tell you one other thing I love about it is I get to go and stay in them sometimes. And they are some of the
Yes,
most beautiful places and I get to love them like my own. And that's a privilege. We get to stay in some of the most beautiful places because that's where people want to go on
absolutely.
holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just celebrated my husband's 60th birthday at Moors and View 2 weeks ago, and
Aww.
it was amazing to be able to share that space and that time with our friends. And, I was working while I was there. I took some photos for social media.
Yeah.
I got to check out, and really become familiar with the heating controls. And so,
Yeah, that's key.
always working.
Yeah, no, that's key. It's key, isn't it? When you go there, I think I wouldn't do it if I hadn't stayed there because you do get that extra level so that you're ready for that midnight
Yeah.
message saying, I don't know how to work the oven. You can go, aha, well, I've done
Yeah,
this myself.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this.
And
This has
thank
been just
you.
a lovely chat. I've forgotten we're recording a podcast at times. It's been absolutely joyous. And I'm sure that people both looking for co-hosts and thinking of being one will have taken a lot away from you. Thank you so, so much. We'll share Sam's details in the blurb that you can read alongside wherever you're watching your podcast. And I will speak to you soon. Thank you so much, Sam. Bye.
Thanks, Kay. Bye-bye.
Hello, folks. It's just me coming on to interrupt me and tell you about Confident Host Circle. It's my subscription group, a membership for hosts just like you who are looking to take what can be something of a lonely sport and bring community to it. Inside, you'll find community, training, inspiration and support to feel confident in your hosting and in your business. Each month we enjoy a theme where there will be training, both things that are quick fixes and also bigger, more strategic ways of building efficiencies into your business and just getting more bookings. Confident Host Circle is all inside a private Facebook group where there's a really lovely community of like-minded hosts, as well as the training and the chance to chat and ask questions and so on. We have a monthly live where we either meet up together or you guys get the chance to ask me anything. At its heart, it's about consistency, community, and confidence. And I would love to see you there. You can find out more at www.kaygibbs.com/confident host. See you next time.